Alright, the most recent update on Dead Rails was all things considered pretty cool. Aside from challenges, the content itself update added more classes, 7 of them in fact, bring more variety to how you play the game, and therefore more fun. So in this video, I'll be suggesting 5 more classes, and then hopefully get this added to the game, but who knows. Before we start, like and subscribe for more videos like this, and now let's get started. Number 1, the Werewolf. When the update came, you could notice there's a trend of some classes being inspired by enemies, hence the Vampire and Werewolf classes. And thus, in our first suggestion, we'll be following said trend with the Werewolf class. To start off, on the day, you get nothing. No weapons, no buffs, as if you started without a class. But it's only when the sun sets and the night just happens to be a full moon where you get the full extent of your class. You transform into a werewolf, your health increases by 5-fold, you do twice the damage and you run faster. Other werewolves will attack you unless provoked, and you'd also have night vision. But when sunrise comes, you'll return back to normal. This design could make it really situational, especially when it only takes into effect if it's one of the 4 night types, not to mention a night lasts for 3 minutes in real time, so you only get to be in the state for just as long. This sounds like it would be a bad class, but I feel like the limited time to use the class's capabilities would incentivize players to use it at its fullest. Now that the player is ridiculously strong, they could do so much better than they normally could, and they might as well be in The next 2 classes I'll be introducing share the same concept, so let's act like these 2 are of the same number. 1.5, the Outlaw. Following the design philosophy of the previous class, the Outlaw is based on the enemy outlaws. In this class, you start with a 5% discount when buying items. Why just 5%? Well, the more you kill innocent entities, like horses and zombies, your discount increases until at a cap of 75%, with a rate around 0.25% each kill. But if you were to do something that is considered morally good, like killing outlaws and zombies at Fort Constitute, your discount lowers by 1% per kill, and killing Captain Prescott is at a 20% decrease. 1.5b, the Sheriff. It's just an opposite version of the Outlaw. You start with a small discount. The more you kill anything with a criminal history, the discount decreases. When you kill anything innocent, your discount decreases, with killing a horse being the 20% decrease. Because God forbid you kill a horse. You also get to sell bandits for $50, just for good measure. Alright, third, the Macho. This guy is the strong man of the group. A big boy for sure. The thing with this class is that you will be able to equip items that you normally couldn't. You'd be able to bring big or heavy objects like statues, metal sheets, heavy weaponry, anything you would normally need to store in the sack with only a limit of 10 equipped. And yes, I said heavy weaponry, because that's where the class would shine. Being able to have a machine gun or a cannon in the palm of your hand sounds kick-ass if you ask me. Only downside though, you walk 20% slower normally, and you walk slower depending on how many items you have equipped, until you come to a 40% speed decrease. This class is just basically the TF2 heavy, and it would make the aforementioned weapons actually useful, and you would now have a reason to not have it as a piece of junk. Next, the Guardian Angel. This one felt the most out of place for a game set in the Old West, but I still find it cool. When you die, you're now an angel. You'll be able to move freely as if you're not dead, but you won't be able to directly interact with the world as if you're never there. What you can do though is that by pressing E on the player will form a temporary shield, where a fatal attack will instead leave them on 1 health. It also gives them a force field and speed boost, giving your teammate the chance to escape a dire situation. But at the cost of needing 1 more bandage to revive you every time you use your protection mechanic, no matter if it's successful or not. Maybe you could come across a situation where you need 10 bandages for our revive, but hey, at least now your teammates, who you wouldn't even keep as a slave in your empire, finally have a purpose. Also might as well include an interaction where if you do this with a priest, a lightning strikes him and kills anything in his proximity. Would be pretty cool. Now in the class suggestion video, why wouldn't I include gambling? With the Gambler class, it's not just a small little perk that only happens to him. No. It changes entirely on how the game functions. You see, one of the more important mechanics in Dead Rails is that almost everything is randomly generated. From BOIs, entities, and loot, they are generated in a realistic amount, only finding something valuable if you're lucky. But with this class, it takes that mechanic to the extreme. The loot is a coin flip of that it's either garbage or stupendously good. You might find a bank with only 1 silver bar and a dead horse, but you could also find everything you need to beat the game on the first house you find, theoretically. So what are the drawbacks? there's a higher chance to get worse loot than it is to find good loot. This is so that getting the good stuff feels more rewarding. And since it modifies the match, it also means to affect the people around you, just like gambling. And would it even be gambling without a jackpot? Where only by a 0.01% chance, you get loot so good that it feels like the devs themselves descended from the heavens and blessed you with their grace. Really makes you want to go even deeper into gambling. And that's it. That's all the classes I'll be suggesting, mainly. Because when I was coming up with ideas for this video, there were a few concepts I eventually scrapped because they weren't fleshed out as much. So I'll be explaining them here, only briefly. The farmer. Horses don't run away from you. That's basically it. This becomes useless after you encounter outlaws anyway. The thief. Lower detection from enemies, it being a 10 stud radius. But each item stored in the sack increases your detection by 2.5 studs. This perk only applies during nighttime, so I guess it encourages the players to go out in the night more often. The blacksmith. Notice how there are types of a certain item and that its respective material is more valuable? Well, what the blacksmith does is if you put in these items in the furnace, it turns into the raw material. So if you put a gold watch in, you get a gold bar return so you can sell it for more. Pretty cool, right? The posh. These are the rich, the upper class of society. They get a high chance to find valuable loot, but enemies would detect them as twice as far. I don't think they like you. And the demo man, which spawns with 3 diamonds that you can ignite without the need of a fire source. And when you die with 2 diamonds equipped, you blow up. This could be easily used to troll, but imagine using this classic kamikaze duo horde. Even though you could have just used a molotov, but it would still be funny. And that's the end of the video. For real this time. I probably made a class that is so unbalanced and broken in practice, but who really cares if it's a cool concept, right? If you liked this video and would like to see more Dead Reels content coming from this channel, why not like and subscribe? How about you try getting, let's say, 100 likes, and I'll make another concept video, this time either for structures or enemies. Alright, I'm Farkas, and back to the wars I go. Peace.